Japan makes me scared. こんばんは皆さん。Welcome back to another episode of Japan Makes Me Scared. I'm Junpei, your host, and I'm gonna share various horror and scary stories of Kaidan in this podcast. Today, let's get into the main topic straightforward. Ryomen Sukuna. That's what I'm going to talk about today. Have you heard this name? Maybe some of you already heard from the hit JP anime, Jujutsu Kaisen. But this name has not just come out of it recently. Actually, it has echoed through centuries of Japanese folklore. In today's episode, we dive into the origin of Ryomen Sukuna, and even explore an urban legend that's posted again on Tuchan, and possibly inspired how he transformed in popular culture nowadays. I know we've got a lot to talk about today, so let's move on to the storytelling part. Episode 41, Ryomen Sukuna. First, we talk about the origin of Ryomen Sukuna. Ryomen Sukuna first appears in a book called Nihon Shoki, which is said to have been released in Nara period around the 8th century. This Nihon Shoki is about Asian legends of Japan, and according to that, there's someone called Sukuna, who is described as a monstrous being with 2 faces and 4 arms in the Hida area, which is currently around Gifu Prefecture, and he was known for his superhuman strengths and abilities. As I just said, he's more like a villain to be defeated in Nihon Shoki, but his actual role was ambiguous. You know, in some legends rooted in Gifu prefectures, where Ryomen Sukuna was based, he was rather respected as a hero who fought against rulers. In fact, there's a temple called Senkoji in Gifu prefecture, which is founded by Sukuna himself around 1600 years ago. And in that temple, a wooden statue of Ryomen Sukuna is kept, and he is still worshipped as a hero of the Hida area. The truth remains buried in history, leaving us with only fragments of his legend. But you know, a bad guy to one side could be a good guy to the other, so I guess this could be what that was. Anyway, fast forward to modern times. Ryomen Sukuna has found new life in pop culture as well. In a hit anime Jujutsu Kaisen, Sukuna appears as a final boss, reimagined as a powerful curse, a being of immense power who commands fear. Well, to be honest, this modern adaptation is far from his original myth, but when I look at this character in manga and anime, I've got the feeling that he's simply portrayed as a very attractive enemy. For those who watch Jujutsu Kaisen in anime, can agree with that. So, in that sense, Ryomen Sukuna in Jujutsu Kaisen could be a character who has brought a new point of view to its name. But actually, before the rise of Jujutsu Kaisen, Ryomen Sukuna had the attention of sub-Japanese Kaidan lovers already, including myself. A chilling urban legend about Sukuna was posted in 2005, again on Tuchan, the Japanese message board website. The story went with a guy who was working in the construction industry. Let's call him Ichi for convenience. One day, Ichi and other guys had to demolish an old temple in Iwate Prefecture, you know, the northern part of Japan. While working on that, one of his colleagues said, "Hey, come here for a minute." When Ichi got there, there was a long black wooden box. It seemed like it was in an enclosed room at the back of the main hall. The box was about 2 meters long. It looked quite old, and the wood was probably rotten. There was also a white piece of paper stuck to the front, with something written on it. It was obvious that it was written a long time ago. Although the paper was so much torn, he could barely read it, like Taisho, Samiya, July, with the something magic. We sealed Ryomen Sukuna in this box. It says something like that. Taisho is the name of the period in Japan around early 20th century, so it was almost 100 years old at the time of this story told. Anyway, the wooden box was nailed shut, so nobody couldn't open it. At that time, nobody had any idea what it was, but they just decided to ask the ex-monk of the temple later, so they left the box there. The next day, before arriving at the site, Ichi received a phone call from the contractor. The contractor said, "That wooden box, the former monk said, just don't open it." Ichi decided to call the site supervisor about the box before arriving at the site, just in case. When he could reach the supervisor on the phone, Ichi just started with about the wooden box from yesterday. But the supervisor was cutting in the middle, saying, "Oh, that one. There are 2 Chinese foreign students you employ as part-timers, right? They just open it. And anyway, please just come quickly." Ichi had a bad feeling about it and hurried to the site. When he got there, a crowd of 5 or 6 people gathered around 2 Chinese guys. They were sitting in front of the place to store the box, in a state of despair. The supervisor said, "I heard that this guy, together with his friends, opened the box last night, just for fun. And the problem is what's inside. Can you have a look?" To put it briefly, there was what looked like a human mummy with both hands in the stance of boxers, like a fighting pose. The only odd thing was, it had 2 heads and 4 arms. More precisely, it had 2 heads and 2 arms on each side, and 2 legs as usual. Ichi has some images of people with similar health conditions, maybe sometimes on TV, so he thought maybe it was a person with that kind of condition, or it's just a fake. The supervisor said, "I don't know if they were shocked or what, but these 2 don't speak anything." The 2 Chinese were foreign students studying Japanese, so they could usually speak the language very well. But no matter how much they asked the 2, they were just in the daze. In the end, the 2 Chinese were going to be taken to the hospital, and they were talking about how to contact the police. That was when the former monk came in the car, driven by his son. The first thing he said immediately after opening the car door was, "Did you open it? You've opened it, you idiot. If you do, it's over." We are all a bit shocked at his behavior, but then the monk started shouting at his son. "You say you would definitely send Ryomen Sukuna to the temple in Kyoto, but you didn't, did you? You idiot." His voice was so upset that it was hard to believe that he was an old guy in his 80s. Anyway, the monk continued talking to the crowd. "Who opened the box? Where are they? The hospital? I don't think they're gonna make it, but I'm going to purify all of you here." Ichi and others were honestly scared, but they didn't have a choice, did they? So they went through some kind of ritual to get purified, which took about 30 minutes. After the ritual, the ex-monks loaded the box into the car and said, "I feel sorry for you, but you will not live long." After a while, one of the 2 Chinese died in the hospital from a heart attack, of which even the doctors couldn't figure out the cause. Also, the other one was transferred to a mental hospital. 3 workers went to bed with a mysterious high fever, and Ichi himself got 5 stitches after stepping on a nail with his foot. Ichi was trying to talk to the ex-monk several times, but he just kept ignoring his messages. But Ichi also exchanged his contact with the son of the ex-monk, and finally had a chance to talk to him on the phone. The son was very hesitant and said he couldn't talk about all, but share some things related to what had happened. First, Ichi learned that the mummy was an actual deformed person who had been put up in a freak show during the Taisho era. He was born in a conjoined state and sold to the freak show by his own parents. It was already a tragic story, but how he became Ryomen Sukuna was related to a cult group at the time. The son of the ex-monk didn't share the name of the cult, but the leader's name was Mononobe Tengoku. And this guy was like pure evil, doing a lot of nasty things. In order to create Ryomen Sukuna, Mononobe Tengoku used a method called kodoku. This is a term for the casting method, in which putting several poisonous insects in a jar and using the last surviving insect for the curse. Then, can you guess what he did? He did this kodoku with several deformed humans. They were forced into a secret underground room, and the last survivor was a mummified person in the wooden box. Mononobe Tengoku stabbed him to death right after he survived, and made preservative treatment as a mummy. This is how Ryomen Sukuna was born. Ryomen Sukuna was enshrined in the cult's principal image as the curse itself. And surprisingly, the target of the curse was not an individual, but a nation, Japan. In fact, there were several natural disasters in Japan around the Taisho eras, like eruptions, earthquakes, explosions, and train accidents. And the majority of them were all close to the branches of the cult group. In other words, where Ryomen Sukuna could have been transferred from one after another. And actually, there was the biggest and the worst earthquake that happened in 1923, which is now called Great Kanto Earthquake, and said to have killed more than 100,000 people. And the day before it happened, Mononobe Tengoku killed himself in front of that Ryomen Sukuna in Kanto, leaving a note saying, "Japan must perish." There was no proof that this Ryomen Sukuna had actually to do with all these natural disasters, but Ichi felt it wasn't just a coincidence. Ichi asked at the end, "Where is Ryomen Sukuna now?" But the son of ex-monk replied, "Actually, I don't know about that. I haven't been able to contact my dad for the past few days." Ichi continued, "What do you mean? Also, you said you couldn't say many things, but why did she finally tell me all these details?" Then the son said, "Well, my dad told you at the time, didn't he? You will not live long, so I was just feeling sorry for you." Oshimai. Thank you very much for listening to the story. How'd you like it? Ryomen Sukuna, a demon, monstrous creature, or kind of a guardian to be respected. He's got different faces depending on when, where, and how his story is told. And what's interesting is some people pointed out that his 2 faces actually represent this duality. Destroyer and protector, or hero demon. And in the urban legend on Tuchan, Ryomen Sukuna is connected to kind of intense curse, possibly for the first time, as long as I know. When you think about Sukuna in Jujutsu Kaisen as the symbolization of a curse, we could say this character is like a combination of a mythology and a urban legend in a way. Anyway, I feel that as long as his story is told, he remains more than just a legend. What do you think about today's episode? Have you found his original myth or urban legend interesting as well as I have? Let me know in the comments below if you would. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe for more dives into the world of Japanese horror in general. This podcast, Japan Makes Me Scared, is available on almost all popular podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or Amazon Music. So hit the follow button on that of your choice. Then, for me, it'll be a huge support and motivation. And for you, you will not miss notifications for future episodes. Alright, we're getting closer then, so let me say one thing. Arigatou gozaimasu again for listening to my podcast, Japan Makes Me Scared, and sayonara for more children fruits next time. Bye!